So let's show off some of these new features. This release actually is considered the MVC release 4.0 because it's all MVC based. So here we go. Let me just get my screen here. Here we go. And there we go. Alright, so as I said, this release is primarily MVC. So what I'd like to do is go into some of those new widgets. For those of you familiar with the portal connector, most of the widgets will seem familiar because essentially it's the same widget set. The only difference is that we added some enhancements to a lot of the widgets, and they're all completely 100% MVC based now. So now you can develop those MVC in an MVC structure or framework for those developers out there that prefer MVC. So there are some advantages, of course, to the MVC framework, and most of those come with the speed and the client-side capability of these MVC widgets. So they're very quick and they're very speedy. And you'll notice here, as I'm going through this, that a lot of these designers are changing. So you can see here that you know, on the form configuration widget, it's a little bit cleaner. The text field, everything is very clean. All those little nagging issues that cropped up in previous versions, we've tried to address. So even, you know, the little things like the required field, not having to style that required field element any longer, it just works now. Going into it, there's been a lot of enhancements to the pick list field. So with the pick list field, now you have the capability of specifying whether you want a drop-down list or a radio button list. And of course you can sort those fields as well. So if you want to sort it by the label or value, you could do that as well for that drop-down list. So with the lookup, some enormous, amazing, I'm so excited about this feature actually. So lookup, of course, it has all the same functionality that it had originally. So the ability to add records and edit records, and of course, you know, all the standard stuff, read only, hidden, and required field. Going into the attributes here, we'll select an attribute. Let's go with primary contact. Now going into the data side, this is a key thing. Of course, you can load default fetch. You could use the fetch builder, and of course we have now the appearance and filters. So one of the key elements here is that now you're capable of filtering these lookups and grids actually on field values. So now it's basically filtered lookups. So if you want to filter that lookup based on the value of another lookup, you can select field value. So you see here that we actually have field value and optional field value. There's a little bit of a difference between the two. The field value is a required field. So if, say for instance, the account name, if you're filtering based on that account name, if it didn't have a value in it, your lookup, if it's a field value, your lookup would display no results. Now, if your account name did have a value in it and it was an optional value, then you know, it would filter it. But if you took that value out, you would have the whole list of elements inside that lookup. So a couple different options there, and once you start using it, you understand the flexibility and how robust you can get in delivering those forms using the lookup. So again, like I said, under the filters, the optional field value is if you want those lookup values to show up, even if someone doesn't have any type of value typed into that, for instance, the account name field that we have on that form. Now, other functions and features that we add to this, again, like I said, we've added a lot of functionality to the lookup. So not only can you filter, as I said, not only can you filter the lookup based on other fields, So it can be based on a text field, a lookup field, pick list, any type of field on the form. But you can also do it now with grids as well. So it gives you a lot of opportunity to build out these robust experiences for your customers or your customers' customers that allow you to filter those grids based on something that they actually entered in right on that form. So next up is the signature widget. So with the signature widget, of course we did a little bit of restyling, but we also added support for editing and read-only signatures. So now if you have a scenario where you have a signature, someone signs something, you progress them to a next page, maybe a confirmation page, you can bring that signature back up and display it now in a read-only type view. Looking down here, subgrid, some major enhancements to all of the grids. So I'm pretty excited about the changes to all the grids. We've added a lot of features and made it so much faster. It is amazingly fast now. It's all web service based. So you still specify your data with fetch XML. One difference is that the records now, you can filter them to only show related records. We simplified the relationships, so now you don't have to worry about those complex relationships and how they look in CRM and how they get sent over to the portal connector. Now you just select the entity and which field it's related to, and it does all that relationship stuff in the background. Of course, you can load your default fetch XML. And again, going back to the records, so you can show only related records, or you could have a grid that shows all records, so all record types. So basically, any record that's in that entity, it could be displayed there. But by default, it only shows the related records. So this, of course, is a great feature if you have an administrative user that you want to be able to access all records, where you could have another user that only has a limited selection of records. You can filter it this way as well. Going into the settings, there's a few new ones. We have just the standard ones, the paging, of course the sorting, filtering. We've redone a lot of the functionality. The enable grouping, so now you can group records, which is an awesome feature. I can give you a I'll be demonstrating that a little bit later on when I get to the front end side of things, so you can see how that functionality works. The filtering has been completely redone in the sense that now it's a little bit more robust. And again, like I said, once I get to the front end side of things, I can go through some of those additional features from the settings. As I said before with the filters, let's just go into the filters here. You can filter it again by any field value or any optional field value, and that would pass right on through and it'll filter that data set. And of course, we still have the same column editor and all that functionality that from the previous grid. A couple new widgets. So we have barcodes and QR codes. So the barcode, you can pretty much turn a barcode into anything. So if you have any of those ticketing type systems and you need a barcode for a ticket or something, you can use a barcode widget. There's any type of data, of course, and there's probably about quite a fair bit of encoding. So I'll just select 128 there, and it generates that barcode. There's some advanced features for identifying the size of it and whatnot. So if you want to control the size of that barcode, you can do that. QR code, very similar. There's two different types of encoding, of course. Most people use the ISO encoding, but you can just select an attribute. Down in there's the ISO and there's a UTF-8. Down in the format value field, if it's a URL, for instance, you can just type in URL, here, and that way if your mobile device or any other device scans it, it'll automatically open up that browser and try to browse to that whatever that data, that QR code is containing. And of course, there's there's a fair bit you can do to this as well for size and shape and color and all those types of features. So what I'll do now is just take you over to the front end a little bit and show you some of those features I showed you in the designers. So here we go. I'm just going to go into let's go into my profile, my company. Let's go to my company profile. Let's open this up. One second, just close this down here. Get some of these screens organized. There we go. So let's drag that screen back over here. There we go. So our company profile. All right. So what another feature is the JavaScript API. So a lot of enhancements to the JavaScript API. Pretty excited about this because it allows you to do a lot of that front end stuff that before you're capable of doing through JavaScript and jQuery, but now it makes it a lot easier. So you can just type out tpc.forms, and then of course specify the name of that form. This one is SF profile company, and then which field you want to access. So let's go down to name. Where's that name? There it is. Right there. Oh. So you can see all the fields and all the methods and properties. Name. Click on dot, and then you see all the accessors. So if you want to add a value changed event, you can do that. Of course, you got the disable, enable, set value, get value, and let me just do a couple examples here for disable. So there it is there, the field disabled, and of course you can see that it has that nice bootstrap theme natively built right into it. Let me just enable that really quick here. So there we go. Let's take that back. So enable, of course, there it goes. So you can also, like I said, you can also, access it. Maybe you want to get the value of the field. So you can just select the get value. Of course, you can type it out. I'm just using the JavaScript editor here in the browser, and there's a coho winery. So now if I want to change that, I could use the set value. So let me just type in something here, coho wineries. So just a little bit of a change. So get the set there, enter that, and you can see there that it changed the text up there. Of course, that's not submitting the CRM. You still have to click the submit button, but it just allows you to create some interfaces that interact really well with each other with all the different fields. So the whole MVC framework has all of these elements and all these JavaScript enhancements, including which also includes the documentation for all of these different JavaScript elements. So we can talk about. I'll go into the documentation side in a few minutes, but just wanted to highlight some of these JavaScript capabilities. Let's go show off that grid. So I'm going to the grid here. It's loading up here. So as I said, we did a complete change. You can see the presentation or the interface has changed a fair bit. Of course, it can be styled customly if you want to change how that looks and feels, but this is just the default. You see here that we can sort ascending, descending. We can specify which columns we want to view and which columns we don't want to view. So if we want to hide one of those columns, you just uncheck it and you see the product just disappears. And I'll just check that again. On the filtering side, I can filter by multiple items. So if I want to filter this by any value, I can do that. It starts with, contains, and of course there's an indicator letting you know that grid is actually being filtered. So my favorite feature is the grouping functionality. So with that grouping functionality, you can take any of these columns and just drag it right up into that column header. There we go. And then you can see there it just groups all of that. So if you're looking for something specific, or if you want to group that data, you can do that now, which is an awesome feature. I love that feature actually, because so often you're dealing with so much data that it's sometimes it's nice just to be able to group all the products in one instead of sorting and filtering all the good stuff. And of course, I can group multiple elements as well. So if I want to group multiple columns, I can do that. You know, product received, for instance, and I can group it that way as well. So lots of functionality with this grid, and of course you can see how fast it is. You know, this data is reacting pretty much instantaneously. It's all, you know, like I said, web-based, web service-based. So that's what makes it so quick and speedy. It's definitely a beautiful enhancement to the MVC release of 4.0. Okay, so now I'm just going to bring up that presentation again. Where is it here? There we go. And we'll go into some of the different features that I haven't covered in the demo. So some awesome new features and enhancements. The first one being, which is pretty awesome, simplified selecting on relationships in forms and grids. And I did, of course, I did demonstrate that. You saw that where we just simplified it, so you select the entity, and then of course you select the field, and you don't have to worry about those complex relationship names that you typically see in CRM, especially when you get into a situation with many to manys. Edit multiple related entities. Oh, that's actually something I didn't go over. Is now you have the capability to edit multiple related entity records on a single form. So before, with previous versions of TPC, you can insert them. So multiple entity records on a single form, you can insert them without having to break it up into multiple steps. But now you can also edit those, any of those many to one relationships. For instance, if you had an account and a primary contact, and you had those two forms on the same, well, there's two entity records on the same form, it would populate those two records, and you don't have to pass in two different GUIDs any longer. Now you just pass in that account GUID, and it's intuitive enough to realize which record it's supposed to load in that contact portion of the form as well. So that's a huge feature, and something that you know, we were pretty excited about bringing about, and something that I guess we had a beta out there for quite some time for this function, but it's awesome. Filter lookups by any field. So now you can filter lookups, and not just lookups, but grids as well. So by any field. So it's a little bit more of an enhancement than what you typically see. Usually you can do filter lookups based on other lookups, but now with the portal connector, you can do filter lookups by any field on the form. And of course you can, like I said, filter the grids as well. So the EventHub, so for form submissions, so anytime a form is submitted, developers now can hook into a pre-event and a post-event. So if they want to run some custom C# code before a form is submitted, they can do that now, which is awesome. And we're just using the EventHub for that. We have our own EventHub. And of course you can also run code on the post-event. So if you want to maybe run some integration code for another third-party system after that form was submitted back to CRM, you can use that post-event and integrate that code to write back to a SQL Server, for instance, or you know, maybe it's, you know, GP or another business system. So developers, another little developer feature there. It's something that we like to focus on, is making sure that developers have what they need. So as I mentioned, it's all MVC, so we have some very significant speed enhancements to rendering forms, processing forms, and pretty much all grid functionality. So you saw how fast it is. It's blazing fast compared to previous versions of the portal connector. Something that we've been striving for quite some time, is making sure that the performance is by far the best performing portal out there, and that's what we're looking to accomplish. Everything from our advanced cache invalidation right down to the MVC release to make sure that a lot of that client-side processing is happening. We also have a new documentation area for all the TPC widgets and the new JavaScript API and eventually the actual C# API as well. So let me just bring that in here. So you can see here it's not quite live yet. Still a couple little things that we're doing, just making sure the content's right. But it's very well organized. We have a search up top, all the way down from sales TPC. In there I can go into, let's just go into one of these items here. So the deployment side, all the content is restructured. So now you can find all of that content at your fingertips in a very easily manner. Whereas before with the previous structure, typically what you're doing is you're bouncing back and forth from various pages, trying to find form widgets or page widgets and so on and so on. And you can see here that we have them separated out: forms-based widgets and MVC-based widgets. Going into each of those widgets, we have just the basic information, of course. You can view an example of how it functions and what it looks like. The basic properties, and of course you have the advanced properties for any of those advanced properties you might have. A full listing of the JavaScript API is listed right here with the widget. So if you're on that widget and you're looking for something specific for that widget, you can see that full API. The key thing here is that we also have that API in its, let me see if I can find it here. So I have that API in its own section. I'm missing it here. Where is this thing here? So right there, client-side API. So it has its own section where it defines just the client-side API. So if you're familiar with those widgets, then you can just go into the API side of things and find the call that you're looking for. You can see it all listed at the top. We also have some examples there of how you would implement each of those different calls, how you get those objects, and so for each of those JavaScript elements, we have one of those calls there. Oh, that's one thing I didn't mention, is that forms. It's not just you can't just call a form by name, but it's also it's a collection, so you can enumerate those forms and loop through those forms. So you can loop through every form and field on a form and run something global across all of those fields and all of those forms, which is something that's pretty awesome. If you want to do something pretty dynamic across that form, you can do that now right in the code. You don't have to actually just type in the name. So let's get rid of this this documentation side of things. It's, like I said, it's pretty nice in the sense that it's all new documentation. I'm just going to get this, let's drag this out of here. Go back to our features. I guess the most important thing, or the best thing I like about the 4.0 MVC release, it's something that's pretty special to the TPC team. It's the fact that what we're going to do is we're going to release all of the source code for all of the MVC widgets to any current license holder that wants to download it. So now it gives you the opportunity to develop those custom MVC widgets and see exactly how we would do things. How we would implement the fetch builder, how we implement filters, how we connect to the portal connector C# API. Now you get to see exactly how we implement all of those features, and you can download that source code, like I said, if you're a current license holder. So it's a huge step for us, and we're very proud to be able to release that source code for all of those widgets, and hopefully be able to jumpstart all of your projects in doing so, which is great. So with that, as I said, the portal connector is still releasing new features. It's still actively being developed, and that gets us that pushes us to the next part of our presentation, and that's the what's next section of this presentation. And for what's next, what we're going to talk about is 4.1 features and what you can expect. So the most important thing about 4.1 is that it's expected in February of this year. So 4.1, we're following up pretty quick with the 4.0 from the 4.0 release into 4.1 for February. So with that February release, there's going to be quite a few enhancements. So we're going to start primarily with the brand new rules manager engine. So this rules manager, it's a form control, and what that's going to allow you to do is to create multiple rules using that new JavaScript API. Create multiple rules with one rules manager, and seamlessly be able to point and click and drag and drop and do all that same functionality and generate that JavaScript that you might need for manipulating those fields automatically. So you don't need to know that JavaScript. Now it can actually be written for you, and you can define multiple rules within that same rules manager, similar to what you would expect from the same experience in Dynamics CRM. So the second thing is the new charts. So we have a new charts widget. So that new chart widget, it's going to replace the existing charts. And with this new chart widget, again, this is all MVC functionality. So this new chart widget is based on the same type of configuration that you would see in CRM, where you define your different data series when you're creating a visualization in CRM. It's going to mimic that same functionality. So if you know how to do it in CRM, now you can do it in the portal connector without having to worry about any of that complex configuration. The only difference being, of course, is that you'll be able to filter that data by the logged in contact versus just the user that typically CRM would have that data filtered by. You can still use the other charts, but in this particular case, this new chart widget, I think, is going to be a little bit more robust, allow you to add multiple series to a chart. And of course, like I said, it's going to be that same experience that you would see in Dynamics CRM. So with that chart control, another set of widgets that we're going to be releasing are the MVC Page widgets. So you'll see a new grid control that has the same similar functionality as what the current grid has. The only difference is you'll see some of that new functionality as well, the filtering, being able to open up, edit and add windows in pop-up windows or navigate to a separate page. And then we also have a new list view control with a built-in integrated HTML editor, which will allow you to insert fields and generate that HTML. If you're not familiar with HTML, being able to create that HTML right in line with that editor. And then, of course, like I said, insert field names right into that template. So it's a nice addition to, or a nice enhancement to, the list view. And then finally, we'll also have a new map control. The original ones were in beta. We revamped that a little bit just for usability purposes. And now we have a new map widget that's going to be released with the 4.1 build, as I said, coming in February. With those three widgets, there's also going to be several other enhancements to the framework. Speed improvements, again, it's something that we try to improve with every release, is speed and how we can deliver engaging portal experiences to not only just partners but customers as well. And of course, there's always more to come. So we're always looking at adding new features. If there's features that you want to suggest, feel free to hop into our forums and just leave a message, and we'll see what we can do about adding a feature for the next release or a release after that. And hopefully we can provide some engaging functionality based on your requests and recommendations. So with that, that pretty much concludes our webinar for the day, 4.0. There's a lot of features that we didn't cover and a lot of little hidden goodies out there that I'm sure that you'll come across or you'll see in the documentation. But that's a good summary for where 4.0 is, and of course, some sneak peeks at what's coming out for 4.1 in February. So thank you again for attending. Hope to see you again for the 4.1 webinar in just about a month's time, and then from there, bigger and brighter things, even more for 4.2. Thank you again. Take care.